The movie begins deep in the wilderness, on the outskirts of a remote town. We are introduced to a hiker named Ethan. He is trekking through the dense forest, enjoying the solitude of nature. As he pushes through the brush, he stumbles upon a campsite. He calls out, checking to see if anyone is around. But there is no answer. As Ethan explores the perimeter of the camp, he witnesses a horrifying sight. Tied tightly to a tree is a man. He looks to be in agony. But it isn't just physical pain. Something is wrong with him internally. Suddenly, a vile, dark green liquid begins to pour out of the man's mouth. The forest, usually quiet, is suddenly filled with the man's terrifying screams. Echoing through the trees, we then cut back in time to the first day of the events, before the horror truly begins. We meet Melissa. She has taken a job as a fire lookout, a solitary position deep in the national forest. She is driving her car along the winding, lonely roads that lead to her station. As she drives, thinking she is alone in the middle of nowhere, she checks her phone. Distracted for a moment, she looks up and slams on the brakes. Standing directly in the middle of the road is a person. She'll stop her car and she looks back to see if the person is okay, but the road is empty. The figure has vanished into thin air. Confused and shaken, she steps out to check her car. Suddenly, a man emerges from the bushes. It isn't a ghost, but a hunter named Skeeter. Melissa, trying to regain her composure, questions him. He is evasive. Moments later, two more men appear, Dale and Buck. They are rough-looking men, carrying crossbows and hunting gear. Melissa confronts Dale, the apparent leader. She asks, "You doing a little hunting?" She knows that hunting is illegal during the off-season. Dale lies smoothly. He claims they are just scouting the area and that the weapons are merely for self-defense against wild animals. Melissa knows they are lying, but she is one woman alone in the woods against three armed men. She decides it is safer to let it go. She gets back in her car and continues toward the lookout tower. Melissa arrives at the main gate leading to the tower. As she steps out to unlock the gate, her car radio begins to glitch. The screen flickers with static, disrupting the silence. Suddenly, a car comes speeding down the dirt road toward her. So Melissa instinctively slams the gate shut and jumps out of the way. As she can't go through the gate, she decides to take an alternate route up to the tower to avoid the reckless driver. She finally reaches the tower. She meets the previous lookout. He is in a rush to leave. He barely gives her a proper handover, hurriedly explaining the basics before practically running away. He leaves Melissa alone in the high tower. Melissa looks around her new home. She is excited about her first day, but her excitement quickly turns to frustration. The previous guy left the place in shambles. Nothing is prepared. There is no food stocked, the solar power isn't set up, and the equipment is cold when her shift officially begins. She tries to radio her supervisor, Captain Edgewood, to check in. The radio is dead. Nothing works. She realizes she has to go all the way down to the base of the tower to start the generator, down at the generator. She finds it empty. She has to find fuel, fill it up, and crank it to life. By the time she gets back up the tower and powers on the radio, she is late. Captain Edgewood is not happy. He scolds her over the radio for missing her check-in time. On her very first day, Melissa is already on thin ice, dealing with broken equipment and a grumpy boss. Despite the rocky start, Melissa settles into a routine. She follows Captain Edgewood's orders, scanning the horizon for smoke. Over the next few days, she finds comfort in talking to her friend Roy over the radio at night. These conversations are her only link to the outside world, but one night while Melissa is fast asleep, a cosmic event occurs. A meteor streaks across the sky and crashes somewhere deep in the forest. Melissa sleeps through the impact, unaware that something from the stars has landed in her territory. The next day, she goes about her work. After her shift, she decides to take a shower in the outdoor facilities. As she washes, she feels eyes on her. She feels like she is being watched. So she grabs her towel and rushes back up the safety of the tower. She scans the woods with her binoculars, but sees nothing. To clear her head, she goes for a walk in the woods. She finds strange debris, empty soda bottles, and small animal traps, likely illegal bear traps hidden in the leaves. As she goes deeper, she spots a piece of cloth snagged on a branch. It is covered in a strange, blue-green slime. Scanning the area, she spots a makeshift tent. She approaches it cautiously. Inside, she finds only a radio. But as she turns around, a woman is standing right behind her. The woman is in a state of shock. Her legs are covered in severe burns. Melissa tries to talk to her, but the woman is unresponsive, her eyes wide with terror. Melissa guides her toward the lookout tower, promising to get help. The woman finally speaks, but her words make no sense. She keeps repeating the same phrase over and over. I don't have it. I don't have it. Melissa realizes she needs medical assistance immediately. She leaves the woman at the base of the tower and runs up to the radio room to call for emergency help. She grabs a first aid kit and rushes back down. But when she gets to the bottom, the woman is gone. Melissa frantically searches the area. She finds the woman standing at the edge of the clearing, staring into the dark forest with a look of absolute horror. Melissa gently guides her back and stays with her until help arrives. Captain Edgewood arrives with a team. They load the injured woman into a vehicle. Instead of praising Melissa for saving a life, the captain scolds her again. He is angry that she left her post and was wandering around the woods instead of watching for fires. After they leave, Melissa returns to her duties. She goes down to check the generator again. This time, she finds a strange bag on the ground. She brings it up to the tower and opens it. Inside, she finds a collection of strange, glowing stones. She doesn't know what they are, so she leaves them on the table, puzzled. That night, the atmosphere gets even creepier. While chatting with Roy, the radio suddenly cuts out. Then, in the middle of the night, the radio turns on by itself, blasting static. Melissa turns it off, but it turns back on. It flickers on and off, as if a ghost or something else is manipulating the electricity. Day 3. Melissa goes back to the site of the makeshift tent to take photos for evidence. While she is there, a hiker appears. It is Ethan, the man we saw at the beginning of the movie. Ethan acts casual. He asks her about the tent. Melissa explains she found it, but doesn't know whose it is. Then she asks Ethan a strange question. Have you noticed anything unusual? But Ethan says no. Ethan shrugs and continues his hike. However, Melissa's instincts tell her something is off. As he walks away, she secretly snaps a photo of him from behind. The next day, Ethan is still hiking through the woods. Melissa finishes her morning shift and goes for a walk again. As she ventures deeper into the forest, she hears a strange guttural scream. Fear spikes in her chest. She turns and runs back toward the tower. In her panic, she isn't looking at the ground. Because of thaw, Melissa steps directly into a bear trap. The metal jaws clamp onto her leg. She screams in agony, trapped and helpless. She yells for help. Moments later, Ethan appears. He calmly walks over and pries the trap open, freeing her leg. At first, he seems like a hero. But then he says something that makes Melissa's blood run cold. He offers to help her back to the lookout tower. Melissa freezes. She never told him she worked at the tower. She realizes he has been stalking her. She tries to back away, but her leg is injured. Ethan steps closer, his demeanor changing from friendly to menacing. He mentions her workplace again. Terrified, Melissa grabs her pepper spray and blasts him right in the face. But Ethan doesn't scream. He doesn't rub his eyes. He barely flinches. He looks at her with dead eyes and says, "You have something I want." He moves to grab her. Just as Ethan grabs her, the hunters Dale and Buck have arrived. They aim their weapons at Ethan, shouting at him to let her go. They manage to separate him from Melissa, but they have no idea what they are dealing with. Ethan isn't human anymore. He is possessed by an alien entity. He ignores the hunters' threats and walks straight toward them. Buck tries to stop him, but Ethan grabs him with superhuman strength, strangles him to death in seconds. Dale and Melissa realize they can't win this fight. They jump into the hunter's truck. Dale floors the gas pedal. The tires spin, but the truck doesn't move forward. Ethan is holding the back of the truck with his bare hands. anchoring it in place with impossible strength. So Melissa grabs a crossbow from the back seat. She leans out at Ethan. It hits him, causing him to flinch just enough to let go. The truck shoots forward and they speed away, but the nightmare isn't over. Dale stops the truck down the road to check on his friend or call for backup. Suddenly, Ethan appears out of the woods. He rips the truck door off its hinges as if it were made of paper. Dale pulls a knife and attacks Ethan. He manages to stab the creature, seemingly gaining the upper hand. But Ethan is relentless. He overpowers Dale, takes the knife, and stabs him to death with his own weapon. Melissa is now alone. She runs into the woods to hide. Ethan stalks her. Suddenly, Skeeter, the last surviving hunter, fires an arrow directly at Ethan in a display of terrifying reflexes. Ethan catches the arrow in midair, and he used the arrow and kills Skeeter with the arrow. Ethan turns his attention back to Melissa. He grabs her by the hair and drags her across the forest floor. Desperate, Melissa finds a rock and smashes it into Ethan's head. He stumbles, giving her a head start. She sprints toward the tower, her injured legs screaming in pain. She climbs the stairs and barricades herself inside the cabin. She knows what he wants, the stones she found in the bag. She takes the stones and hides them inside a food container. She grabs a fire axe and waits. Outside, Melissa's friend Roy arrives, coming to check on her. He climbs the tower, unaware of the danger. Ethan reaches the top first. He sees Roy and effortlessly throws him off the balcony. Roy crashes to the ground below, critically injured but alive. Ethan enters the cabin. He tears the place apart, looking for the stone. Melissa realizes he can sense them. She comes up with a desperate plan. She grabs a handful of regular rocks from a plant pot and throws them out the window, hoping to trick the entity. It works. Ethan, driven by the alien instinct to retrieve the stones, go down to the ground and start finding the stone. Melissa seizes the opportunity. She runs down the stairs to check on Roy. He is barely conscious. She tries to keep him awake. Suddenly, Ethan returns. He realized the rocks were fake. He towers over Melissa, screaming, "Give it to me now." Melissa swings the axe with all her might. She strikes Ethan, cutting him down. He falls to the ground. But the horror isn't over. As Ethan's body dies, the green vile liquid pours out of his mouth. It moves on its own, slithering across the ground like a snake. It heads straight for Roy. Before Melissa can stop it, the slime forces its way into Roy's mouth. Roy convulses. He wakes up and turns toward Melissa to kill her. Melissa runs to the truck to use the radio. But the alien signal jams the frequency. She is trapped. She realizes there is no saving her friend. With a broken heart, she grabs a tool from the truck and kills Roy to stop the monster. Broken and traumatized, Melissa climbs back up the tower. She tries to radio the captain again, but the equipment is destroyed. In a fit of rage and grief, she smashes the radio and throws it off the tower. She wraps herself in a blanket, shivering, waiting for the captain. Finally, Captain Edgewood arrives. He sees the carnage, the bodies of Ethan and Roy. He comforts Melissa and leads her to his car. However, the threat persists. Billy, a member of the captain's team, is investigating the scene. He spots a puddle of the green liquid on the ground. Curious, he touches it. He brings his finger to his mouth and tastes it. Instantly, the liquid reacts. It surges into him. Billy's expression changes. The entity has found a new host. In the final scene, we see Billy, now possessed, calmly walking over to where the real stone is hidden. He picks it up. The alien has one. It has the stones, and it has a new body. The movie ends with a chilling sense. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this recap, please keep in touch. See you in next movie.